Hi guys, Andrea Mills here, and I got little Miss Baby Claudia sitting here playing behind me, so she might be adding a little noise and a little curtain flapping to our conversation today. But today I wanted to answer a couple of questions that we get fairly regularly, which is why do we drive a really old van and why don't we get a bigger van? So we have a 1998 12-passenger Chevy Express, and we got that, let's see, 4 years ago. We had before that had a Dodge Caravan, and it was quite a bit newer than what we have now. It was actually really nice with, you know, the heated leather seats and the little button that opened the doors and built-in TV and all those kinds of nice features that were really great. But when we were going to have our sixth baby, little Solomon, we were going to outgrow that van. So we were looking for something new, and one of the things that we have tried to are you getting crazy back there? Anyways, one of the things that has been important to us is to try to live as best as we can without borrowing money. The reason being that it just feels like when you borrow money, you lose a lot of your choices in life, and we don't want to do that if we can help it. So we knew that we were going to outgrow our old van with when the new baby was coming. So we've been praying about it and, you know, just waiting for God to provide. We'd been saving money, and we had about $4,000 that we had saved, and we started looking like at used dealerships and things, and quickly realized that money was not going to get us very far, and it was going to be a long time before we could afford even a used bigger van. So we had just decided to be content with the situation, and if it came down to it, we would just have to take two cars when we went places. We don't go a lot with the whole family. Since we have church at home on Sundays, we don't have to go together there, and since Tom works from home and our business is at home, we're pretty much here all the time. Homeschooling, you know, our life just revolves around home. So even when I'm going out like grocery shopping or something like that, I don't need to take everyone with me, because I, you know, do that kind of stuff when Tom is here. And, you know, when we go to the library on Wednesdays, some of the kids stay home because Tom's home on Wednesdays. So it's not a lot that we have to all load up and go somewhere. So we thought, well, we'll just take two cars if we have to until we can afford to buy something bigger. So we then saw this 12-passenger van one day for sale. There's a little place here. We live in a small town. There's no dealerships here in our town. But down by our hardware store, a lot of times people will park cars along the road that they are selling just with for sale signs in them, and you can call them up. And so we see this 12-passenger van sitting down there one day, and we're like, oh, you know, that might be the thing. So we went and looked at it, you know, just peeking in the windows and everything, and then we called the number, and the people told us that they had already had somebody that wanted it, so we were not going to be able to get it. And it was kind of a bummer, but, you know, we just felt like God's in control, it's all going to be fine. So we just carried on with life, and then it just kept sitting there. So about 2 weeks later, Tom called again, and they told us again that it was spoken for. And so we were like, okay, and then it just kept sitting there. So a couple weeks later we called again, and they said again that it was spoken for. So we just, I don't know, we just had a peace that things were going to work out, and we weren't really worried about it. So we were on our way to visit our midwife one day, and Tom's cell phone rang, and it was the people who were selling the 12-passenger van, and they said that the person who had wanted it had backed out, and we had called several times, and they said that they had people calling every single day wanting to buy the van, but because we'd called several times and they actually knew Tom, it turned out the people who were selling it had been customers of ours. We didn't even realize that at first, but because of that, they decided that they wanted to check with us first to see if we were still interested in the van, which was really great. So we ended up being able to buy that van for $1,200, which was amazing because most of the ones we had seen for sale were like $10,000 or $12,000. So we went ahead and we bought the van, and it needed some repairs on it, But because we had that $4,000 saved, we were actually able to do some pretty extensive repairs and not go over the amount of money that we had already saved for it. So the reason I thought that I would go ahead and share this now is because a few days ago Tom had to fix the little switch that controls the power windows in the front. There was a short in the driver's side window and it wouldn't roll. Actually, it wouldn't roll up. It would roll down. And this had been happening for like 2 years. I could roll it down, like I would go to the bank to the drive-thru and I'd roll it down and then I'd try to roll it back up and it would only go part way and then it wouldn't go anymore. And then it would eventually roll up, but it finally just totally quit the other day and we were driving, we had to drive for 30 miles and the window wouldn't roll up and it was raining and I was really worried that it was gonna get all wet in there, but somehow we managed to make it all the way home without anyone passing us, because I knew when they passed us, all the overspray from their cars would just spray right in. But somehow we made it home and it was all fine, and we found a new switch from, I think it was switchdoctor.net for $30, and it took like less than 5 minutes for Tom to put the new one in. So this leads me to the next thing of why we don't buy something newer, is that and some people have wondered, because now that we've gotten more kids, it's kind of tight even with a 12-passenger van, and it would be really nice to have a 15-passenger. But right now we just don't have the, nothing's just come up. You know, we're going to be content with what we have. You better be careful. No. Yeah, it's okay. Come here. So I want to talk about the fallacy of cars nickeling and diming you to death. I've heard that a lot of times when people say that when their cars start to need lots of repairs, it's time to get a new one because this one's going to nickel and dime me to death. Are you going to be difficult? So here's our thinking. Of course, if we had the money to just go buy something new or something a lot newer, then maybe it would be beneficial to just do that. But since we don't, our options are that if we have a major repair, which we have done more than one major repair on this van in the 4 years that we've had it. So a couple of times we put over $1,000 into repairs for it. And our thinking though is that if we put $1,000 in to repair something, and let's say that repair only gets us 3 months down the road, and then we have another repair. If we were to compare that with the price of buying something new, I don't even know what a new car payment would be, but I'm just going to say $350 a month. It may be more or less than that. But let's say that we had a car payment that was $350 a month for something new. So $350 a month for 3 months would be $1,050. So doing $1,000 repair, even if 3 months later we had to do another $1,000 repair, we're still kind of breaking even as far as how much money we're spending at the moment. And in addition to, if we were to buy something new, we would also have to come up with sales tax, and we'd have to relicense it, and all those kinds of things that are added on to the price of something new. So to us, it always just seems to make more sense to repair what we have than to go ahead and borrow money to get something that is newer. And another thing is, if we were to buy something used, who knows what kind of problems it might have that we don't know about. So we might be facing making repairs again right away, and we'd be right back in the same boat we are. So here's what we feel like. We feel like we're just going to be content with what God's provided for us, and realize that cars are a thing, they're a tool to get us safely from point A to point B. And so much of the reason that we want to have newer, nicer cars is not because the one we have doesn't actually meet our needs anymore. It's because we're advertised to. Everything is so commercial, and people want us to feel inadequate if we have something that's not new and shiny, or if we have something that has dents in it, or if it doesn't have whatever cool new features that, yeah. But in reality, we're just paying a ton of money for trinkets that really don't make a big difference in our lives. And again, once we start borrowing the money, we become slaves to the thing and to the people that we borrow the money from. Because if Tom and I can't afford to repair our van, we can just park it and we can walk, or we can share one car for a while until, which we have actually several times had to do that, when he gets home, I'll take his car and go get groceries because we're needing to repair the van, or maybe it's in the shop or whatever. And we can do that. But if we borrow the money to buy something, then if the day comes where we can't afford to make that payment, we don't have choices anymore. We can't just park it and wait until we do have money. We have to pay that money back, and we end up risking losing the whole thing if we can't afford it. And one of the things that we have just really understood over our time together is that it's much safer to be content and to trust that God is in control. God's going to provide what we need when we need it. And while yes, it would be very nice, I would love it if we had a bigger van, I am totally fine with making this one work. And I don't know that a new van would actually make our lives significantly better. So all of life is about learning to accept God's will for your life, accept what He has given us, to cooperate with His will, with His design, and just being content. I think that's such an important lesson in life. And so, all of those things come down to real life experiences and how we deal with real life. And so that is why Tom and I drive a really old van, and why we don't have one bigger than what we've got, because we're just waiting. And when the time comes that we really need one, we know that God will provide, and we don't need to worry about it in the meantime. So I hope that answers you guys' questions about that particular topic. And if you are interested in watching any of my other videos on large family life, then I hope that you will check out the rest of my channel and maybe subscribe so that you don't miss anything coming up. And if this video was helpful to you, I hope you'll remember to push the like button and maybe even add to the conversation by leaving a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys again soon.